Are we ready for the Dharma request?
Yes, we're ready when you are. Amitofo.
Amitofo.
I'm ready. So you want to turn on the camera?
Okay. Here. Oh, there we are. Okay.
Yeah, do you have slides for Dharma request?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Don't you share your screen?
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Sutra lecture, or our Dharma talk. We will begin with the Dharma request. So invite everyone to please place your palms together. And we have our novice Qing Li here, trainee. Oh yeah, not novice.
About to be a novice.
Pre-novice, who's going to do the Dharma request. So.
Gong Qing Da De Sang Ting Wei Ci Fa Hui Ji Yi Che Zhong Shang Qing Chuan Miao Fa Len Jiao Da Wo Man如何疗伤脱死离苦得乐速证无上 Will the Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Invite everyone to repeat after us. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto sucedoye alahari samya sambuddhoche.
Namo sadanto sucedoye alahadi samya sambuddhoche.
Together. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it, and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning.
Who's going to speak first?
We'll speak together.
Speak together.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you get started, I have to make some announcement. One announcement. 我们这个讲法是英语，然后是中文的华语的同步翻译，所以大家如果要听华语的话，你要到那个中文的室去，你在那个控制的地方有一个像地球的圆圆的，你要按那个地球，然后选中文室，你就可以到那边去了。So with that, I think I'll introduce Dhamma's Chuan first, and Dhamma's Chuan can introduce Jingwei's. I'm very happy to have Dhamma's Chuan and Jingwei to to talk to us today. And Master Chuan, I believe, was born in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And both his parents were from Taiwan. And as a matter of fact, his father was my classmate in college. So we have very close relation with that time. He graduated from Stanford University with a major of physics. I believe it was in year 2004, right?
Yeah, 2004.
And he spent just 1 year to get a master's degree at Stanford in religious study. After that, he came to CTP as a volunteer for I don't know how long, too long to count, probably 4 or 5 years, right? When
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, when did you become a novice?
Novice, I think 2011, trainee 2010.
Okay, right, then fully ordained in 13.
Yeah.
After that, he spent most of the time at Berkeley Monastery. I think people know that. And he also went to DRPU, received a master's degree. And at the same time, he was teaching at DRPU since then. And so, and I think I will just stop here. And he was very capable. I think people know that. And I'm sure he's going to give us a very wonderful talk together with Master Jinwei. So now Jin Francis, you can introduce Master Jinwei.
Okay, maybe before I just do that, I just want to share a fun story, because Dharma Master Jing Yong shared about how he was classmates with my parents in college. And so when I first got to the 16,000 Buddhas, Yong Fa Shi actually approached me and asked me, "What's your father's name?" And I looked at him and said, my father's, my dad's name is Ying Ning Tan. And all of a sudden, Yong Fa just started laughing. He goes, "Well, I went to college with him." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Like your last name, which is Ying, my lay name," says it's very uncommon. And so I thought maybe you might be his son, but I thought impossible because they were so Western in college. I couldn't imagine there's someone be so Eastern. I told Yong Fa Shi, "Well, actually, I'm even more Western than my parents, but because if you think about the world as being round, I went so West, I went East." So yeah, so it's deep connections, kind of interesting. And just to briefly introduce Jinwei Shi. Jinwei Shi was born in, I can't say it, Białystok?
Yeah, very good.
Białystok, Poland. And actually began learning Dharma roughly the same time I did, 1999.
Yeah.
And before that, he was actually kind of inspired by the hippie lifestyle. So living very free, but realizing that freedom of desire and doing whatever you want is not real freedom. So he found that actually life was somewhat miserable doing that. And Buddhism provided another way of living life that was more meaningful than that. And so he was really devoted to the Dharma. And I believe in 2000 and what was it when he came to CTP? 2009, 10?
First time
2009, he came for a Chuan session, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stayed a volunteer. And then later 2011,
right.
He came to CTTB to volunteer. And that's not easy. He came from Poland, knowing no Chinese, knowing a little bit of English, leaving everything behind in Poland and coming to this place, the 16,000 Buddhas, to learn the Dharma. He said he was a little bit surprised that there was so much Chinese, because he thought there might be a little bit more English, but he adjusted over time and decided to, really go forth and cultivate the way. And what I've been really amazed by Jinwei Shi over all these years is his actual heart of kindness and service. That he's always willing to help out, always willing to care for those around him, regardless of who they are. And having lived with him, very closely in the monastery for so long, I can definitely attest to that heart of care.
Just a note. Actually, one of the first monks from DRB what I met was their Master Yong with their Reverend Hank Scher in 2007. They came to Warsaw. And he, I think, witnessed every my step, their Master Yong. When I was a layman, when I took refuge in 5 precepts and came to the city of 10,000 Buddhas and become trainee, novice, and finally received the full precepts for ordination.
Okay, so maybe that's for introductions. We can begin our talk. I don't know if it's so much a Dharma talk, but we want to share some of our experiences trying to cultivate the Dharma, trying to make it come alive in our lives. And so maybe we can do a formal start. I know at CTTB, you usually invoke the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Masters, and all good and wise friends, both present and online, Amitofo. We're delighted to be here with everyone, a chance to learn together. And the topic we chose today is titled, let's see if I can find my slide. 1 second here. Listening to the heart. Share the slideshow. Okay. I have to share my screen. Sorry. There we go. Okay, I hope people can see the screen. Listening to the heart. 60,000 Buddhas, July 24th, 2022. We thought to first start with reciting the name of Guan Shi Ying Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Ying Pusa, because we just finished a Guanyin session that is CTTV, and then have a minute of silence just to ground ourselves, to kind of prepare ourselves to listen to the Dharma and also listen to our hearts. So maybe invite everyone to please place your palms together. Namo Guan Shi Ying Pusai 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 Namo Guan Shi Ying Pusai. So a minute of silence. Ding. Okay. So the question for today's talk that we thought about exploring is can we listen to our hearts of unconditional care? And what we wanted to start with was a story. I was trying to think a little bit about what would really illustrate this principle. And it's always fun to actually start with the opposite. When did I not listen to my heart of unconditional care? So I was thinking, when did I not do that?
Very six better.
And I actually thought about a time when I was a volunteer at CTTB. As Yong Fashi said, I came to CTTB in 2005 and spent quite a few years as a volunteer there. I think it was maybe 2007, 2008. I was working in the front office in the AO. And I remember being at the front desk. And next to me, I think people know Mr. Ju, who's been there many, many years. Mr. Ju has a background as a diplomat, very calm, very composed, just like a rock. He's a very good model for patience and perseverance. And he's been taking care of the administration office for many years. Actually, he was there when Master Hua was there at the 16,000 Buddhas, and has many stories about being with Master Hua. A lot I've learned from him and really respect him. I remember one day at the administration office in the front desk, I was there on the side working, and Mr. Ju was in the front standing there talking to somebody who had wanted to stay at CDTB. And this person was actually quite upset, and you could say strongly criticizing CDTB and Mr. Ju. So, he was actually saying, how can you cost so much here at CDTB? This is way more than expensive than a hotel. This, the accommodations are not good. What are you guys doing here? And he's keep going on and on. And I saw Mr. Ju just standing there looking at him, I said, very patient, composed, diplomat, But I was just listening on the side, and I could feel my heart going, this is not right. Mr. Ju is such a, solid cultivator, devoted his life to the Dharma in the city, and here's some guys just berating him, criticizing him. And I felt really upset. And so finally, I couldn't take it. So I walked over, so this guy's talking, criticizing Mr. Ju and CDB, and, what are you guys doing? This is cheating us. And I look at him, I say, do you know where you are? He looks at me. I said, do you know where you are? This is the city of 10,000 Buddhas. This is a spiritual place. Do you know where you are? This is not a hotel. People give their lives to work here. If you want to get a good deal, go outside. You can find a better hotel outside. Your choice. And he just looked at me. He wanted to say something, but he's kind of speechless, And I was just like, and Mr. Ju just quietly walks over to where he had his payment, takes it and hands it to him. He looks at it, still speechless. He walks out. And I remember Mr. Ju just looks at me because I don't think he's seen me like that before. I didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, okay. And so I remember just feeling this in my heart. Like, I felt really right in the sense that, what he was saying was not correct. Criticizing CDDB, criticizing Mr. Ju, not appreciating being here in this place of cultivation. At the same time, I felt like, maybe I hurt this guy's feelings because, I spoke really harshly to him, kind of like a dagger going straight to the heart. And I felt pretty bad. And so, after I finished my duties in AO, I remember going for the noon meal at the dining hall, and I saw the guy behind me, having the food. And so I went over there and I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so harsh. That's not skillful. I'm sorry about that.
He didn't stay.
I don't know if he stayed. I could see he was scared. When he looked at me, he was like, it's like, okay, yeah. He knew that, I kind of cut him pretty deep. And I remember feeling that. And so what we thought today's topic is how do we let go of our story of being right and listen to the heart of kindness? So letting go of the story of rightness and listening to the heart of kindness. And you could say, we're still learning, but we were wanted to share some of our discoveries over these years. That was maybe 2007. Now it's 2022. And so I don't know if I've improved too much more, but I've been trying, you could say.
We always saying we're not experts, we are enthusiasts.
Yeah, we're enthusiasts. We're trying our best. So what we want to start with is a talk by Master Hua, who emphasized in a Guanyin session the importance of the 4 boundless hearts. So this comes from the book, Listen to Yourself, Think Everything Over, subtitled Guanyin. And in it, Master Hua has a compilation of talks, or there's a compilation of talks by Master Hua. And in one of them, he introduces Guanyin Bodhisattva. And he says here, Bodhisattvas are living beings just like you and me. All right, so Guanyin Bodhisattva is no different than us. But, it's important, but they've chosen to cultivate the 4 boundless hearts, the 四无量心, the Brahma Viharas, right? The divine abodes. What are these 4? Kindness, compassion, joy, and giving. Sometimes that last one is translated as equanimity, 慈悲喜舍, or metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha. These 4 boundless hearts, these 4 limitless, infinite ways that we can use our inner lives, right? And so Master Hua continues, and as a result, they have become bodhisattvas. If you and I and all living beings cultivate kindness, compassion, joy, and giving, and if we practice the 6 paramitas and the 10,000 practices of a bodhisattva, we too can become bodhisattvas, and we will be the same as Guanyin Bodhisattva. So here Master Hua is, I would say, giving us the essence of what it really means to recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name. That if we recite, but we're angry, or we're jealous, or we're forceful or fighting, right? We might say the words in our mouth, but we don't have the real recitation in our hearts. And how do we do that? And Master Hua gives us very clear instructions. Is by cultivating these 4 hearts. And what was the discovery I think Jin Wei Shi and myself had is that these 4 hearts can be cultivated very directly. There's ways that we can catch ourselves going into irritation, frustration, judgment, relax, and come back to this place of acceptance and care, unconditional care. So that's what we wanted to explore today. And very key to this, of course, is listening. Guanyin Bodhisattva's name can be translated as she or he or one who listens to the sounds of the world. She listens very, very, very deeply. And she doesn't listen with expectations. She doesn't listen through a mindset of right and wrong. She just listens to us with these 4 boundless hearts, complete accepting us for who we are.
And unconditionally care.
And unconditionally care. So we wanted to really explore this this evening. And first we wanted to share, hope you can still see our screens, just very briefly, what are the 4 hearts? And if you get the chance, I would recommend going to this website, Master Hua, Volume 10. He has a talk on kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. I would like the translation equanimity better, are the basis of cultivation.
You can put the link to the chapter.
Yeah, we can do that later. So I'll read the beginning part, but essentially Master Hall makes a very strong case that reciting, can you see the screen? Let's see here. Okay, great. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. That cultivating the four hearts is key for cultivation. He says here, these four, I'll translate as boundless hearts, are basic requisites for every cultivator. As monks, we have the four requisites, right? Food, medicine, clothing, place to stay. Well, Master Hua is saying these four hearts are essential for our lives. And he goes and explains each one of them. So first one, kindness makes other people happy. I'll say kindness is actually wishing people well, wishing people to be happy. It's a very simple wish, is seeing that all of us suffer, all living beings want to be happy. And in our hearts, we say, I want to support that. I want to be in service to their well-being. And it's a very, it's a heart that actually is very natural to us. Sometimes we cover it up. Mencius has a story that I think really captures this, where he says a baby's crawling to a well. And he says that if the baby's crawling to a well and is about to fall in, would you save the baby? And his argument is yes, you save the baby regardless about the parents, regardless about your status, because you have from a heart of care. We see a baby coming into harm's way, and we will, in our heart, be moved to, I'm going to help, I'm going to support. So that's kindness, right? Making others happy. Master Hua explains this some more, but we're just going to give you the highlights. Compassion eradicates suffering or relieves pain and difficulty. So when we see people sad, we see people going through hardship, there's something in our heart that says, you know what, I want to help them out. It's a very simple wish. I want to help them out. Then the third one, which I really like, is shi, or joy. Sometimes translated as appreciative joy or empathic joy. And here it says a happy state of mind, but I would say it's a rejoicing. 随喜功德 is we delight in other people's success. When other people are happy, we're happy. So it's the opposite of jealousy. Sometimes other people are happy, and if we have a competitive fighting mind, then we go, you know what? They don't deserve that. That should go to me. And we get jealous. Our heart tightens. And it's not boundless, right? This is not the boundless heart of mudita, of this rejoicing in other people's goodness. If other people are successful in their cultivation, great. I rejoice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so wonderful.
Samadhi, wow. My heart is uplifted. I'm so inspired. Yeah. I want to be in your field of happiness.
Yeah. Our people hold the precepts well.
Wow.
Our people do things better than we do. They're more capable than us. Right? For instance, here at Roto Vihara right now, we have our trainee Anagarika Qingli. And honestly, he has a lot more construction skills than we do here in taking care of the grounds. When he was a volunteer and a student at CDTB, he actually helped with fire safety with Alan, who's actually the translator for this. And so he knows
mudita for Alan.
Yeah, a lot of mudita for Alan too, for his hard work. But he knows a lot more than I do about a lot of these tools. I barely know how to use, I don't know how to use a chainsaw. I don't know how to use any of these tools he's showing me. But that he's able to do the work here and take care of the grounds, joy, wonderful, that he's capable and willing to teach, and helping us together protect the way place. Okay, so we won't go too much because we wanted to get to the heart of our talk. The last one is, here is translated as giving. Chinese has she. But I think if you were to investigate it in the Pali and the Sanskrit, and in the kind of Buddha's teachings about this. And I think the better translation in English is equanimity, a kind of balance. Reverend Hung Sure likes the translation serenity.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. I think if you look at the Chinese classics, the Zhongyong is the mind and heart that's in the it's centered, it's grounded. It's
Unmoved.
not unmoved, it's not going out. And this actually keeps the heart from actually collapsing on an object of desire. It's very important because, for instance, loving kindness, or this first one, kindness, this care, can easily become restricted if desire gets involved.
Or possessive.
Possessive, yeah.
Grab the experience and own it.
Yeah.
Control the object, the desire.
So for instance, oftentimes in relationships, right, we start out really caring about somebody, and somehow we get that person entangled with our identity. So now that person has to meet certain expectations of how we think they're supposed to be for us to really kind of care for them. You can see it sometimes with parents and children, or children with parents, right? The parents deeply care about their children, but somehow the parents' identity gets into it, so their children's success becomes their own face or something, their own identity. And so they no longer truly listen to their children's well-being. They listen to the story of who they think the children should be. And I think people know of their children how painful that is. And the flip side for children, we don't listen to our parents as human beings who are going through difficulty and suffering, who have tremendous responsibilities and have a lot of life experience. We might judge them as not being perfect, not being ideal, and not accept them for who they are. Right? So this goes both ways. And this heart of equanimity, of letting go, or Master Hua says this, letting go, that allows us to stay open, to let go of the stories, letting go of the attachments and expectations that collapses this heart, this boundless heart of care. So what we wanted to share, let me go back. Oh, something is going on chat here. Oh, somebody says Amitofo. Okay. So what we wanted to share was to illustrate this principle with a video from a program called Guiding Rage into Power. Now, this is a program that really inspired us.
I don't know how many times we watched this video, but I can promise you many, many times.
How many times? Every time we watch it, it definitely touches our hearts.
Close to actually
tears.
Tears.
And this program is called Guiding Rage into Power because it's helping men in San Quentin. If people know, this is a maximum security prison in the Bay Area, who have lifetime sentences, for murder, for rape, for,
many kinds
stealing,
of
violence, all sorts of things. And here these men are learning to take the rage, the anger, the fury in their lives and transform it into power. And for him, power, I would say, is defined as, essentially for us, equanimity.
Right.
The ability to say, I don't have to just follow my impulses, my violence.
And I can vow to be a peacemakers in the prison, and if they release in their communities. And it's tremendous even to hear the stories of the transformation. This is something what's really uplift and bring a lot of rejoicing.
Yeah, we got a lot of mudita. Every time we watch it, we got a lot of mudita.
And of course, a lot of kindness, because the source of the transformation is deep care.
Yeah. And so we wanted just to show you just their statistics. They have on their website. So they have 1,233 graduates from their program. 421 are released, which is not easy. Was looking into this. It's not easy to go before the board and get your sentence, and basically the board to deem you, acceptable to be released from jail since you have a lifetime sentence. Not easy. And so a lot of those who are in prison actually join this program because they think this might help them before the board to say they went through this program. But they don't know that once they get into the program, they go through a very deep transformation. So you can see 421 are released. And out of that, how many people reoffend and go back to jail? 2.
0.2%.
Yeah, 0.2%. 99.8% of them go back to lives outside. And you can see they make vows to be peacemakers, to say, you know, I'll devote my life to peace because I know lives depend on it. And there's some amazing stories, which we won't tell right now, but about their transformation, but we'll see it. That's why this video is so wonderful. You can actually see what is going on. And the person who put this program together is named Jack Verdun.
Yeah.
And what was amazing to us was that he was essentially doing Guanyin Bodhisattva's work in these prisons.
And very inspired by Buddhist teaching, but translate to the very secular language, and the language that is direct, and the language that the prisoners can understand and speak to their hearts directly.
So we thought it would be nice to share this video and look at it from this perspective of listening to the heart of unconditional care, especially these 4 hearts of loving kindness, wishing people well, wishing living beings well, compassion, relieving suffering, mudita, appreciative joy, rejoicing, and 4, equanimity, this mind of inner balance and stability.
You see, this is the opposite of monastery. The bars, although some similarities too.
Yeah.
But
so here we go. Hope people can hear it. San Quentin Prison. Okay.
Drop 662 SQ, we be gripping, that's what this click do. Sitting in the fire like we're getting BBQ. All colors intertwined like a Rubik's Cube. Yeah.
So let me just pause right there.
some translations.
Yeah, some translation there. So 662. So what they do at the beginning of their program is you'll see they're all sitting in a circle, right? 32 men. And the facilitator, Jack, starts with a question. How long have you served here? So some men say 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. And so 662, the number of everyone years serving in prison. Sometimes it could be 900 years, even over 1,000. So that's the first question, right? People feel that number. 662 years we've been here in prison as a group.
And maybe this is 12 months, maybe 15.
Yeah, 32, yeah.
32, yeah.
32. And then the second question he asked, so how long was it between the moment that you felt imminent danger, you were triggered, and you committed the crime that got you in jail? 15 seconds. 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Go around you at everyone's time, maybe an hour. So he says, 1 hour of life for almost a millennia in jail. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? So in this program, we'll teach you how to never miss a moment like that in your life again. That's power. You have a choice. And actually, I'll say a lot of this is listening to the heart of real care. And you'll see in this video as we go through it, what's going on. And when the BBQ is because they're sitting in the fire. That's their way of calling meditation. So for them, meditation is sitting in the fire. You have to sit through the pain, both physical, emotional, the thoughts, and just stay patient with it and burn through it. Just burn through it till ashes. And then you can get free. So you're not being controlled by our inner fears and habits. So pretty similar to what we're doing in the monastery, especially in the Guanyin session. Burning through our karma, right?
Barbecue, Guanyin.
Barbecue. So let me get to it. Oh, did I close? Oh, here it is. Okay. Rib. Here it is. Okay.
We gotta stop the violence. GRIP is the acronym cause we've been guiding. Rage and a power and a peace, so that we can leave prison before we get released. Yeah, cause hurt people, but heal people, yeah. I had a dream I could buy my way to freedom and free people, yeah.
Right there, hurt people. And this is a pretty deep insight if you think about it, because when people create crime, do crimes, or hurt others, oftentimes because that's what they learned before, maybe from their parents, maybe from their friends, or maybe they were hurt themselves. So this is hurt people. You look deeper than just the surface. But you don't stop there. The second line they say is heal people. So if we can actually transform ourselves through the pain, then we can be Guanyin Bodhisattvas, you could say servants, hands out in the world helping out.
And these insights actually came from one of the circles. One of the gang leaders from LA, I think, came as a first time. And they had kind of sharing in pairs. And someone who was in pair with him was a gang member from the same gang, and ask, okay, so what do you observe here? What you saw here? He says, it's a lot of bad things happen because how we treated in the past. The unprocessed trauma affect our actions. And he says, heal people. It's that fact that you showing yourself, that you expressing your truth is healing, is transforming. So the hurt people, but if we can transform and can become healers, can be peacemakers.
Yeah, transforming killers into peacemakers.
Recently, like I explained, shared with some of y'all, my brother was murdered November 17th last year, and today is his birthday. And normally if somebody get hit on our side, we go retaliate and go do something on their side. Now this is the time when you just sitting here and I'm doing it in a healthy way. I'm sitting in here and I'm going through the anger, I'm going through the hurt, I'm going through the good times, laughing about the good memories that I had of him, and I'm not just stuck in that one gear. And if it wasn't for this group, I don't think that I would be able to sit back and respond healthily like this. And that's that emotional intelligence. That's being able to track exactly what I'm feeling. That's learning how to sit in that fire and not just go react to something every time you get hurt. To me, that's, like I say, it's big.
Listening, right? You're tracking rather than reacting. Like, think about that. You have a story that's a really good story of vengeance, of being right, of righteousness. Somebody kills your brother, somebody kills a family member. Well, what do? You go retaliate, you get even, you make things right. And he's saying, I've learned something else. This is a gang member, right? Probably kill somebody. Saying, I've now learned something new. I can listen to that anger. I don't have to follow that anger.
Right.
I can listen to it and sit through the emotions, not repressing them, burn through them and get free. And then respond with healthy emotions. Joy, taking joy, mudita, in the good times. Feeling the sorrow and holding it with compassion, the pain of losing a brother. And then acting in wise and skillful ways. And I think if you people watch the faces of these men listening to him, right? If you just look at their faces, let me see it. Their faces listening to him. They're paying attention. So what's being happening here is these men are being held in a circle of compassion. So then they're willing to open up. Willing to open up. Isn't that what Guanyin Bodhisattva is doing for us? That she's there holding us in her arms of compassion so we can actually open up to genuinely who we are. So,
and it's a particular way of listening, we're seeing, without rejecting, without judging. Just one of the men kept the heart, his hands on his heart, right? I kind of empathize with you. I'm kind of holding space for you. And the very key line what they're saying in this program is the space for reacting or the choice for the reacting or responding. Because very often, as we reacting, we can react with anger, but also we can run, we can fight or hide for the experience. But if you listen deeply, we have a choice. We don't have to react from our impulses. We can respond with kindness, compassion. And it's a training. It is, for them, it's 52 weeks, but actually this is lifelong, of course, the classroom of learning how to sit in the fire, how to be aware of our emotions.
I've been spinning on the wheel of cause and effect, searching for original pain. I'm feeling shame and regrets when it surfaces. Wonder what the purpose is. I would never know how many people have been hurt from this crime that I committed out of anger. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, thinking how I could have handled the situation better. I see plenty in the rearview mirror. Hindsight 2020.
I feel that the change that I'm making is genuine. I mean, I want to change way back then, but I really didn't know how. I was still lying about my committed offense. I was saying that I was confronted in a liquor store by a gang member. I went outside the liquor store. He followed me outside the liquor store and pulled a weapon out. You know, a struggle ensued for possession of the weapon, and I shot him. You know, that was my legal defense. You know, so I've been living that lie for years now. And you know, but when I got here and I started participating in some of the groups, you know, I started to realize what accountability was about. And then I would be seeing guys, you know, holding their truth, people like Robin, you know, and Kyrie and Troy. I would see these guys, and so they inspired me. They let me know, okay, if these guys can change, then I know that I can change. You know, in terms of being open and honest, you know, about the things I've done.
So you can see there, what are the qualities of listening? You have to really be open and honest, right? We have to really listen deeper than the story. So he had created a story for his being in prison. And he was holding on to it because it gave him perhaps a way to be right, a way to maybe get free. But it's a lie. And how many times in our lives have we done that? Right? We create a little story that makes us look good, but deep in our hearts, we know it's not real. And so with these 4 hearts, we have the courage to say, actually, I don't have to hold on to this story. I can let it go and trust that there's some deeper goodness there. That if I let this story go, I can change and become better. I don't have to freeze myself in a lie. So this listening takes real fearlessness, real courage, real honesty. So first, there's this, we saw in the first one, emotional sensitivity, being able to sit with our emotions and not react. The second one is real honesty, real honesty. And again, looking at the faces of those men as they were listening to him, you could see they're with him. They feel it.
God bless you, bro. Hey, stay strong, bro. You got that. Your change is evident, bro.
Right on.
You're a stronger man than me, bro.
That is right. Rejoicing.
Rejoicing, yeah, this is rejoicing.
Wonderful. Good job.
We're coming in here because we get to remind each other, welcome each other back in who we really are. Because when we committed a crime, we forgot. We forgot who we really are. And so you cannot forget that again.
So this is very powerful in this program. Rather than framing it as, okay, you're here and you're broken and we're here to fix you, he says, you're here because we forgot who we truly are. It's very Buddhist, right? We're here because we forgot our Buddha nature.
We're complete.
We're complete and whole.
Nothing.
We don't lack anything, but we somehow forgot. So when he starts the program, another question he asks everyone is, so how many people are here because you want to kind of fix yourself? You felt like you're no good and you want to get better. Yeah, these people are in prison, right? Maybe 70% raise their hands. Yeah, so he says, no, everyone get out of the room. Come back with another motivation. Because if you're here and you think, I'm not good enough, I need to be better, then every moment you're here in this room, you're going to be thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I need to get better. I need to get better. He says, no, go outside, find something else as your motivation for being here. So it's very powerful. I actually think this is the kind of the turn in the Lotus Sutra when the little, the boy who leaves his father, the prodigal son, comes back and his father slowly brings up the child, right? And finally, at the very end, he says to his son, actually, everything I have is yours. But I couldn't tell you in the beginning because you wouldn't believe it. You don't have to actually earn it. The Buddha nature is already there inside. So he's saying this, basically, you have this inner goodness replete in you. We're just here to discover it. Okay, continue here. Said if we really love this video.
December 7th, 1994.
Let's say that. Okay.
On December 7th, 1994, I murdered a woman named Christy Anderson. She is the mother of my now 20-year-old daughter. On Thanksgiving, I saw my daughter for the first time in 19 years since I've been in prison. For me, one of my biggest problems was my anger and violent and aggressive outbursts. My mother sent me to live with my father when I was 9, and my father used to beat me like I was a grown man. And I think without a program like GRIP, I wouldn't have been able to receive a visit and be open to everything that my daughter Katie had to say to me on Thanksgiving. The fact that someone who I felt I harmed the most in this world could tell me that they forgive me for what I did.
Yeah, repentance and renewal.
And you see how powerful it is for those people when they reconnect with this kindness, they believe this is our source. You don't have to believe this story. I'm bad, I'm monster.
Yeah,
it's no hope for me. I'm failed my life. It's just for me to kill myself. Many people probably thought about suicide in this kind of situations. Actually, well, it's everything in our hearts we can see in our hands, and with the group of people who support us, we can make our lives. We can make a real beauty from our lives.
Oh, appreciate you putting the link there. Okay, great. So yeah, so letting go of the story of unworthiness and finding the heart of kindness. Okay.
If one of you is working, you're all doing your work, because we all have skeletons in the closet. We all have hurt people. And it's coming clean with that. That is a big part of reclaiming who we truly are.
So in closing, I want to honor the earth, the air, the water, the fire. And I want to say a prayer for our ancestors. And all of you here today and the work that you're doing and how it will resonate not only here in San Quentin in this community, but throughout the world.
So, stop. Okay. Yeah, okay. So just on that point there, That's, I think, the power of spiritual community, spiritual friendship. So loving kindness, metta, is closely related to kalyana mitra, which means friend. So sometimes people translate metta as friendliness, loving friendliness. And so you can see all those guys. I mean, it's kind of interesting holding hands, but some of those tough guys holding hands seems completely appropriate. Standing in a circle, invoking the sacred, the earth, the sky, ancestors. We're part of something bigger. And calling on that strength to support them. And that's what we're doing, here, although we're on Zoom. In some sense, by being together, there's a sense of spiritual community, of being good friends with one another to walk the spiritual path. If we're trying to do it alone, it's not easy. It's not easy. So I think that's another place that's really embodied. You can see loving kindness comes out and transforms into really wholesome community, the foundation of harmonious community.
So, Troy, could you enlighten us as to what's different here?
I'm still breathing. No. Last week I went to the board and was found suitable for release.
Free. So we just want to share that as a kind of a modern example how these four hearts, right? Kindness, clearly they're being held in the circle of kindness. Compassion, listening to each other's pain, wanting people to heal. Rejoicing in each other's transformation. And equanimity is at the ground. They're not reacting, they're responding with wisdom. Right? So these four hearts manifesting in this circle. And what we were so inspired by is some people go, no, I can't do this cultivations as well. Did you kill somebody? And these are like the toughest guys who have the most difficult lives in the world. I mean, one story, and then I'll stop, is he's shared actually when he started with violence was he was maybe 2 or 3 years old. And he was crawling around in the blood of his father because his mom had just shot his dad. And the police were outside of the house for many hours because they weren't sure what was going on inside. Remembering his little baby. It's like, they're from serious trauma, but they're going through this process of actually saying, I can heal still. I don't have to repeat this cycle of violence. So if they can do it, I think most of us, if we really want to try walk on the spiritual path, we have Guanyin Bodhisattva's support for sure.
The power of listening is also that if we deeply listen, we can notice kindness everywhere, even potentially the darkest places like San Quentin prison. And the prisoners could be our teachers of kindness and can inspire us to also spiritual path as well. What is, I think, amazing gift. Yeah. So in the note, I give treasure. Start with the story, and maybe I can see the time. I can close with the story of the listening and not be stuck in narrative story. And, of course, the loving kindness is important element in Guanyin Bodhisattva is there somewhere here. Maybe it was 7 months ago, I have unexpected visit in Poland to see my grandma. And the long story I make short, and I go to the heart what I want to share. So I went visit her in COVID unit in the hospital. I have just 15 minutes. I left from the hospital. I catch the bus and was on the way to my parents' home and I stayed. And I called my father saying, Dad, I will be in the 45 minutes. I just visit my grandma and see you then. It was a long silence. And my father, have you visited grandma? Have you been in the COVID unit? I'm very disappointed. And call stopped. Well, and my phone rings again. My stepmother says, we are very disappointed with your father. More official tone. We decided that you need to leave our home. Okay. He says, and this was standing there in the bus. And the important aspect of listening, as we often mention and is encouraged by the Buddha's teaching, is relaxing into the body. The first, that's like, let's breathe, relax. Okay. I came out from the bus, stand for a moment, and think, okay, Namo Guanshin Bodhisattva. Namo Guanshin Bodhisattva. May I have some clarity, may I have some compassion. It was a deep request in my heart. And I kind of felt the impulse in my heart. And I can form the thought from this impulse. So I flew from California to farewell my grandma, and you treat me in this way? This is ridiculous. I didn't fortunately go or went there. Relax, connect to the body. Okay. So the first, what we learn a lot of in the monastery, the different type of listening, right? So I ask myself, okay, what do I feel? How do I feel in this moment? And I feel anxious. I feel a bit challenged and feel irritated. So what is need there? What is kind of need beyond this feeling? And I think I really value connection, harmony, to be understood. And another thought, okay, relax. Let's went and look at on this story, what's really happened in our conversation with my father. So without any judgment, without adding anything to the story, what I just heard, okay, his voice was a little bit higher and louder than usual. He was nervous, and he told me, please leave our home. Okay. And what did he feel at this moment? I feel maybe he felt for sure disappointed. I think he feel nervous, fear, frightened. So what kind of needs he can have beyond these feelings? Well, I think that I can connect this with wanted to be saved, want to be protected, and health is very important. So I went from the whole scenario, and of course my heart was full of grief, and just saw my grandma and being a bit anxious as I described. So I felt I can just formulate the one sentence. When I will see my parents, I can tell them, I respect your decision, but I don't have now resources to talk about the whole situation. Let's talk about this later. So I was walking and reciting Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva, Namo Guanyin Pusa, Namo Guanyin Pusa. Knocked at the door. My father opened the door from the house, and says, "Oh, we're so sorry. This happened." It's awful. I says, "No, don't feel sorry. I know that you feel frightened, right? And unsafe. I just was in the COVID hospital also, although I was protected, but you can feel, uncomfortable with this whole situation." Yes, of course. We heard that so many people are affected. Now it's another wave of COVID and so forth. It's no problem. I called to my aunt, and she offered my grandma's house was empty, that I can stay. I can take a test and so forth. All this is wonderful. I can call a taxi, and taxi can take you to the grandma, house and so forth. And he did, right? He called to taxi driver, and the next day he bring the food, cook my stepmother, and and we have a very kind of heartfelt conversation. So it was kind of interesting for me in the moment of crisis, how the listening and Guanyin Bodhisattva and kind of relaxation and loving kindness kind of help. Of course, it's a lot of to learn and to master, but at least not follow the impulse or not be bound by the story and react with anger, right? And I can easily kind of make a deep wound in our relationship if I kind of follow my thought, what I shared before.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, for Jing Weisher, his grandma was like his mother because his mom left him when he was really young. So actually his grandma meant a lot to him. And actually he also meant a lot to his grandma. So I think the sense was she shortly there passed away after Jing Weisher visited her. And my sense was because she wanted to see him kind of one last time to say goodbye. So it's quite a story. Yeah, a lot of loving kindness there. And there's always possibilities of going into, irritation, conflict. But if we can stay relaxed, listen from a place of kindness, things open up in unexpected ways. So somebody asked a question. I don't know if you want to try answering it. Somebody
How
asked,
to solve the problem of I am not good enough? Please me the answer, I miss it. Yeah, definitely. Maybe this is will be another talk. How to not believe I am not good mantra. Right? Some of us recite many times a question, what do we listen? I'm not good, I'm not good, I'm not good, I'm not good, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. And of course, we heard a lot of these words, maybe sometimes from teachers, sometimes from friends, even sometimes from parents, right? You're stupid. Or
you're no good.
Or you're not good.
You're no good.
You're not good.
They're better than you.
But you see, this is a story, right? As we talk, this is one of the stories. And we found that it's tremendously helpful to cultivate this heart of loving kindness. And it's not just saying the word, may I be happy, or even not just recite Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. It can help. But behind this Guanyin Bodhisattva, behind this, may I be happy, may I have a well-being, is a kind of sense of deep care, connection to the heart, and it's a real kind of feeling of kindness. One of the way how we kind of find is very helpful. We're finding we call it meta triggers. Finding something what invoke on kind of inspire the kindness in ourselves. It's one of my meta triggers is my grandma, what I just talked about. But many people find the nature could bring the kind of feeling of be deeply care, unconditionally care, and we can kind of feel and connect with the body, with the heart, like expand it and kind of maintain it. And the wonderful reminder of this kindness and unconditional care is Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva recitation for me.
Yeah. So just like we could have a mantra of I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. We can actually recite something else like Namo Guan Shring Pusa, or may I be well, may I be well, or maybe gentle, gentle, or care, care, or peace, peace.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay, no problem, right? So we can change the story that we're actually telling ourselves. It's not easy though, because honestly, in our society, I know we're going a little bit over time, so people need to go, no problem. But I think it's an important question because we meet this a lot, including in ourselves, is the story of I'm no good. And we kind of try to prove to ourselves that we're okay. If I work harder, if I make more money, if I'm more attractive, if I'm a better cultivator, If I recite more mantras, I'll be good then. It's like, actually, that's not coming from the four boundless hearts. That's coming from the heart of lacking that then goes to the mind of desire. So rather than coming from that place, to actually ground ourselves in our bodies, like Jing Wei said, to actually really relax the body. Over 9 o'clock, okay, great. Really relax the body. We found that to be really key for this practice, because sometimes the mind and thoughts and heart move so fast and we get overwhelmed. But the body is actually a very good teacher. When we're tense or we're sad or we're angry, our body has signals, right? When you're angry, you can feel the heat rise, or maybe you get really cold. I don't know, it depends on the person. When you get sad, the whole body kind of hunches over a little bit. What we found is if we tune into the body, maintain a kind of upright posture and relax, that there's actually a sense of well-being that's cultivated within the body that kind of holds us. So for us, that's always step number one, is to catch ourselves tensing up throughout the day, not dwelling in tension and irritation.
And it's not particularly that, okay, now I decided no good mantra, right? Yeah. We recited thousands of times. And fortunately, we also believe it. So this is another issue, I can say. But how we can receive this, I'm no good. This has a particular frequency, right? How does it resonate in the chest, in the belly? Can I listen the tension, what the no good create?
Mm-hmm.
And just relax.
Yes.
Just relax. Just stay with that without adding the story, without believing what these thoughts telling us. This is just thoughts, right? This is just a conditioned and habituated response, what we learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice there.
Yeah.
And we kind of reprogram, relearn that anytime no good come is actually could be a meta trigger. It reminds me to ground myself and connect to this kindness. I can receive this with kindness.
Yeah, so that listening with care, even to those difficult things inside, is really key. Like what we saw in that grip video, the guiding rage into power video, right? We listen to the hurt, we listen to the anger, we listen to the I'm no good, I'm unworthy. But we listen with compassion. By listening with compassion, something slowly begins to heal. If we treat the I'm no good mantra as a demon that we have to crush, then it just gets worse because we're just fighting with ourselves inside.
Or hide from it and try,
I'm perfect.
I'm very good. I'm so good. I am so good.
Yeah.
It's another trap.
Yeah, it's another trap for sure. Actually, a lot of times we create the I'm so good mantra because I actually feel I'm no good. And you see that pride, arrogance usually comes from a deep lacking inside. So I had to put on a false air to feel okay.
And often this is the kind of fixing mode, right?
Yeah.
I'm no good. Let's put more I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good. We don't have to believe both of them. I just let go.
That's okay. So rather, let it go. You can listen to it deeply and just let it pass through. Namo Guan Shin Pusa, Namo Guan Shin Pusa, Namo Guan. Oh, I'm no good. Namo Guan Shin Pusa. Oh, yeah, okay. I can sense what that's about. Namo Guan Shin Pusa. And with Guanyin Bodhisattva's compassionate energy, what happens is it slowly melts those deep habitual patterns of fear and anxiety into kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So that's what we found at least so valuable in this practice, is to recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, not from a place of tightness or fighting. I can tell a story, actually. And this took me a long time to figure out. And I wish I knew this before when I came before the CDDB. But when I came to CDDB, I had a very kind of fighting mind. I really wanted to be a good cultivator. So I remember in the sessions, people know you actually walk around the Buddha hall, right, for 30 minutes, and then you sit down for 30 minutes, and then you recite in silence for 30 minutes. But in the mantra, you wake up at 4 a.m., you go to sleep really late. So you're pretty tired. And so you could fall asleep in the sit. So I'm like, no, I'm going to recite every single Guanyin Bodhisattva. So right before we're going to sit down, I run outside of the Buddha hall, right? And I run laps. If people know, in front of the Buddha hall, there's the metal frame tent. This is when I was a layman coming for the session. I'd run laps around the frame to have a lot of like chi, you know, so I can like go and sit down and really stay focused in recitation and not fall asleep. And people, Guanyin Pusa, Guanyin Pusa, Guanyin Pusa. But what I found was I wasn't relaxed at all. You know, I was just so focused on reciting every single Guanyin Bodhisattva's name with this super sincerity that was actually not coming from a place of kindness. It was coming from a place of seeking and forcing. And what it ended up was I often was exhausted. You know, I could get focused, my mind was focused, but I often was exhausted. And rather than being really in a caring, unconditional mind or heart, I was in a very judgmental mind because I'm working really hard. You know, and other people are enjoying themselves doing other things. They're just talking, you know, they're wasting their time, you know, not cultivating, and I'm really cultivating. So much work, so much needless work. And so, okay, the first thing I should have done was relax the body. Wow, I could be at the 7,000 Buddhas in a spiritual place, enjoying the environment, enjoying the people, enjoying this, you know, the peacocks. Wonderful, relax, I've arrived. And then recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name with a real heart of care. I wish myself well. I don't have to earn Guanyin Bodhisattva's love. And she accepts me just as I am. I don't have to get every single thing perfect to be okay. I just try my best, moment to moment. That's all we can expect from ourselves, right? So this is something, took me honestly like probably like 7 or 8 years to learn. I had to like basically, actually my mom's actually on the call, so she can attest to it, but I really kind of damaged my body a bit starting out because I was too quote unquote vigorous in the wrong way. And I had to learn, actually, that was not skill. That was not equanimity. That was not compassion or kindness. That was actually fighting, greed, seeking, forcing, you know, you go through the afflictions.
Yeah, we have a lot of Dharma Marine stories, you know, how to be very, you know, prepared for your spiritual battle. I was into bowing. So you know, you can bow, of course, in the way that to really relax your body, connect to your heart, or you can be also the body's, you know, the bowing sprinter, do super fast and kind of wanting to prove yourself somehow. And it doesn't bring the place of well-being, kind of centeredness. And
yeah, I don't know if there's a question here, but maybe we can finish soon. 就是我离家人目前也 I can't, sorry, my Chinese is not very good. So I have to, if someone wants to translate it and see if it's a good question for now, but mostly we're kind of over time. So
let me read this question for you.
Okay.
He said that 我的一家人目前 I think he's talking about his family. There's a member of his family also is put in the jail for more than 10 years. But they are not as lucky as what we see in the video. They don't have any good spiritual teachers to teach them, to guide them. So, and say that what we can do is to create Mary virtue for him and recite sutras, transfer the Mary to him. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think this is a question. I just
it's just a statement.
A comment.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
sure.
But if you have any opinion, any
reflections on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, for sure, reciting on family members' behalf and dedicating merit is essentially an expression of care.
Right.
Right. You wish them well. And not only you wish them well, you're willing to put in the time and energy, your blood, sweat, life force in the Dharma to transfer that goodness to that person so that their life can be better. That's loving kindness. Dedication of merit is a practice of loving kindness. I would add to that something, if you want to make it also a connection that I found quite transformative for myself, is the practice of listening. So I don't know if you do have opportunities still to interact with your family member, but I think if you do, and you visit them, if you can listen to him or her with that heart of care that you saw in that video, like Guanyin Bodhisattva, not judging them, not trying to fix them, not wanting them to like change their ways or do this or that, but just listen to them and just want them to know, I deeply care about you unconditionally. You don't need to somehow be this or that, be Buddhist or something else. I just accept you for who you are, and I'll just listen to you with this care. And please share with me what's in your heart, and I can hold it. It's not easy, right? When people share their pain with us, our first move oftentimes is to fix. We move from the heart of compassion, which just wants to care for the person, to then wanting to take ourselves and try to control it in some way to get rid of that experience. So this listening with compassion is first allowing the full experience of pain and suffering to come in and just listen. No judgment. And if we listen deeply enough, oftentimes that things start to heal themselves. But in our own experience, right, we know if we went to somebody and before we even share the whole experience, they're already telling us how we got everything wrong and that we should be doing this or that, we take a big sign off. Okay, I'm not going to tell anything else to this person again because
I'm not going to find. You remember the video? I think the Nippon share about in the court, one guy was several killer.
Oh, serial killer.
Serial killer.
Yeah.
And can you find it?
Okay, you can explain it, and then I will show it, and then we'll finish with that. That's a very powerful video.
This is a powerful video.
Yeah.
And I forget how many years ago it happened. It was the man who was he didn't have this heart of
yeah, here it is.
Oh, he's found it.
I found it.
So maybe
want to show it. Okay, so this is a serial killer, and all the people who the families of those people he killed are there testifying.
Yes.
And talking to him. And it's like, it makes you definitely is
the power of kindness is very visible here.
So you can see
open the heart and give a courage. And Mel
sat there stone-faced.
Here.
Gary Ridgway sat there stone-faced as victims' relatives damned him and mocked him.
He's an animal. I wish for him to have a long, suffering, cruel death.
He's gonna go to hell, and that's where he belongs.
But then the emotionless facade finally cracked when the father of one of his victims appeared to surprise him with a dose of human kindness.
Mr. Ridgway, there are people here that hate you. I'm not one of them. You've made it difficult to live up to what I believe, and that is what God says to do, and that's to forgive. You are forgiven, sir.
Power of forgiveness.
Power of forgiveness.
Of course, it's not easy.
It's not easy, yeah.
Truly.
Oops, sorry.
We're in Lexington, Kentucky, and the Senate.
Okay, so yeah, and you can just hear in the person's voice, right? The different sound.
Yeah,
it sounds different when somebody's trying to speak from the heart of caring rather than heart of damning. So I think for us, we can dedicate merit to those we care about, but one of the best gifts we can give is to listen to them with this heart of care. And my experience is magical things start to happen. Our relationships become deeper, more honest, richer. And even with ourselves, we sort of listen to ourselves in a new way too, not through all these stories we have about ourselves, but say, you know what? I actually care about myself. I want to be happy.
And even as we seeing the transformation, sometimes it takes time.
Yeah.
It means it's happened tomorrow, after a week, or a month, even a year, 5 years. But we can deeply trust that every of us has this Buddha nature. We are complete. Sometimes we cannot see clearly. We are confused. But if we have someone who is like one in Bodhisattva, in Jinch Marsha mentioned, deeply listen, deeply hold the space, unconditionally, slowly this resentment can melt it and unexpected things can happen. Or expected, but it takes time. But it's good to believe, have this deep faith that compassion and kindness are the real forces in this universe and can dispel all the darkness, all the cruelty. And we can cultivate this, we can train our hearts.
Yeah. So we want to finish with a song about Guanyin Bodhisattva written by the late David Rounds, Mr. Rounds. And it's called She Who Hears the Voices of the World. And it's adapted from a hymn for the Virgin Mary, which is also an embodiment of compassion, but in the Catholic tradition. A lot of similarities. So maybe we'll finish with this, and then we'll do the dedication of merit. Okay, so people are welcome to join us once you get the tune, especially with the last line, Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva.
Are you still in the video mode?
Oh, really? Sorry, let me share again so the screen is clear. Okay, great.
She who hears the voices of the world hears my voice. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who hears the cries of beings in prison hears my cries. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who calms the fears of soldiers in battle calms my fears. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who rescued beings from dangerous roads rescues me. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who hears the prayers of homeless people hears my praise. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who grants the wish of childless couples grants my wish. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who soothes the terrors of the dying soothes my fears. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who knows the joys of peace and friendship knows my joy. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who hears when beings call her name hears my name. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. She who hears the voices of the world hears my song. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva.
Namo Guanyin Pusa. So, Yong Fasher, Amitofo, it's 9 o'clock. I don't know if you have any final announcements.
Very nice talk, you too. I just want to inject something very quickly.近威师talk about the Buddha nature. Everyone has a Buddha nature, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a very important thing we have to remind ourselves all the time. Because from your talk, we can see those prisoners, they can change, right?
Yeah.
So usually we don't think they will change. But you think about they also have the Buddha nature, so they can change.
Yeah.
So if we can come from there, then we will respect everyone and give them the chance to change. And another thing is that there's someone asks, how I feel I'm no good, right? How do I become a good? But if you think about you have Buddha nature as much as everyone else, of course you are not no good, right? You are as good as everyone. So if we can keep remind ourselves, so this is a very important thing we have to remind us, is to us, to ourselves, or to other people. We are all equal. We all have the Buddha nature. So that's something I just want to add to your talk.
Yeah.
And okay, with that, I want to make a quick announcement for next Sunday. We have Dr. Hanbin Wang is going to update us the pandemic. And we haven't had this kind of talk for 6 months already because people think the pandemic was over and nobody really pay attention to it. But I think it's about time to have another talk after 6 months. So there'll be next Sunday. Okay, that's all I have to dedicate marriage.
Okay. Do you want us to share our screen or would you want
to? Go ahead.
Okay, let me do that here. So this is a chance to practice loving kindness, wishing others well,
compassion, and
rejoicing, and equanimity all at once. Yeah. When you read the verses, actually, you see how the 4 hearts are interwoven into this chant. Okay.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of painters into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
3 times. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master.
Okay, thank you again. And it was very inspiring talk. And we also thank Alan's translation. It's behind the scene. And thank everyone's participation. See you next week. 阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。